Then, of course, you build your first house once you have the land and the money and the lumber. One of the confusing things about this is that this house and all the subsequent houses you build are actually for rent. So they're sources of income, actually. You become a landlord almost immediately at the start of the game, which is of questionable realism. That's not really true too many places in real life. The question is, why isn't there a stage where you're a tenant? So another level gets unlocked, and of course upgrades and products and things you can buy become unlocked as you go through the levels, in line with many other games. So there's the rent icon at the top there where you can collect the rent. A lot of stuff you have to wait for, as I said earlier. And you get these letters all the time recommending that you do things. So here you learn how to farm for tomatoes. You have to buy the plot of land in a store, which is very strange. This store interface is in general confusing, in my opinion. If they were going to redesign the game, they could make it a little bit more orderly, logical, I would say. Another thing is that to buy the seed, you don't go to the store, which is unrealistic. You click on the plot of land, then it sends you to the seed section of the store, which is kind of hard to find if you just go straight to the store. And I don't really know what they mean by the tutorial, because the whole game seems to be a tutorial of sorts. At least as far as I played it. I played this for close to an hour and a half to prepare this video. This was my second ever game on it, and this dragged on for close to an hour and a half. I didn't put all of it on the video, obviously. So then I collect the rent on the one house again. So then you build a farmer's market to sell your products. I haven't figured out how to sell the crops yet, though. I've only been able to figure out how to sell other farm products. We'll see that in a minute after I get this constructed. Because of the heavy emphasis on farming, which is realistic, there's a tremendous resemblance when you combine the perspective and everything with Farmville, actually. Especially given the tie-in with social media, although you don't play this generally on Facebook or anything like that. This is an Android and iOS game. So you play it on your mobile device, or BlueStacks, as I'm doing here, and then you interact with social media, announcing the different things that you've done. And sometimes people can buy you stuff via social media if they have money and you don't. I doubt too many friends of mine would waste their money on something so stupid, though, to help me with a video game. So you go to your advisor again, and he's recommending that you chop down more trees. Now she's one of your tenants, and she gives you access to chickens. And the chicken eggs, presumably the eggs, are then for sale in your farmer's market. You just have to place the chickens. They're a little bit hard to see at first, but you see the red right over the farmer's market. It's not placed particularly well. Now I put the chicken there next to the house, which is realistic, but it's actually hard to click on it because you tend to click on the house instead. So if I were going to play this over again, I wouldn't do it that way. So anyway, back to chopping down trees here. If you have a better axe, you use less energy. And here's the lethally dangerous hunting scene, where you see you're shooting the rifle in all directions when people are standing around. And this, of course, was a criticism I had in the introduction, that it's a terrible example of how to handle a gun. So deliver the eggs there. Most things have a period of production, and if you click on the building which is producing the item, it'll give you a time that it'll take to finish. This sign seems to be sort of a gimmick. I don't really know how useful it is, but I followed his advice anyway. So here I collect the eggs. I go to the market, but first they give me the next level, which is kind of cool. There's my tenant recommending that I clear weeds. That's not very realistic. I'm supposed to advise her to clear weeds. But oh well. Maybe she's complaining that I'm not doing my job as a landlord. Anyway, here's the message for the infirmary, because apparently we behave like Nazis in this town if we don't have an infirmary. This is, again, like I said earlier, is not realistic. I don't know where they got this idea, watching too many zombie movies or some ridiculous thing. I mean, maybe there were some towns in the Old West that were that, like, barbaric, but I have not read this anywhere. I mean, quarantines existed, but quarantine is very different from throwing somebody out of the town just because they're sick. They would keep them at home, obviously. But anyway, you need to build another building just to get the hospital staff. I mean, this seems a little bit ambitious to build a hospital in a tiny little village as one of the first things that you do. So, you know, where the village is so tiny you don't even have the staff for the hospital. But there it is. It's a game. The dangerous hunting scene again. Even more dangerous this time, because it's more crowded. So anyway, I have to finish the house in order to finish the hospital. So, there's the hospital, so that people behaved in a civilized manner. Then you have to make an herb to make it complete. Again, this seems a little odd, but herbs were in fact a standard remedy before modern medicine. Sometimes still are. I rush it along, I collect some profit from it. And I'm almost reaching the end of my planned 20-minute length here. I'll demonstrate the land expansion before I conclude here, because the first land expansion is free, the subsequent ones cost you coins. You don't actually have to spend real money. You buy the land expansion in your store. This first one, the main advantage is that you get access to that pond there to fish. So that will be the last thing I'll demonstrate here. Your daughter asks you for fish, so you try and find a fish. Fish comes along, grabs the bait, and you have the fish. And I'm running out of time here. So I actually continued this game for another hour after I shot this, but that's it for now. And here are some historical source materials that might be interesting. Some of the sources I used, some of them I just looked up. And you can get the actual game from Google Play or the Apple Store.